So, Jesse, what folks may not know yet is that you are a visiting fellow. You're our Miles visiting fellow at the Center for American Liberty. It's our inaugural visiting fellowship. So, welcome.
Thanks. It's great to be with you, and I look forward to this work with the Center for American Liberty.
So, Jesse, tell me a little bit about your work at the Dhillon Law Group. So, we've had a chance to work together on some cases over the years, but for anyone watching this video, really, what is your practice at DLG?
I have a fairly broad litigation practice here. I've been at the firm for nearly 4 years, and I've done everything from political law, defamation law, free speech, even some white collar criminal defense. But I think the through line for all of the work I do is that there's often an individual rights or individual liberties component to it. The nature of those rights really vary, but it's really situations where there are someone's rights on the line and we need to vindicate those rights in court.
Awesome. And where were you before the Dhillon Law Group?
So I grew up in Hawaii. I went to law school there. I started my practice at a commercial litigation firm there. I clerked in federal court there. And what really brought me to the Dhillon Law Group was all the COVID litigation that was going on. I thought it was important. I thought the COVID overreach was one of the gravest assaults on civil liberties in my lifetime. And one of those cases was in Hawaii. And when I was looking for what to do after my clerkship, I sent a cold email to Harmeet Dhillon, who I knew was essentially the only lawyer in the country filing these lawsuits. And I didn't necessarily expect an email back, let alone a job, but it worked out and the rest is history.
In our work together at the Center for American Liberty, we're advocating for First Amendment rights. What is it that really inspires you to defend the First Amendment?
I'll go back to what I said earlier about how I got my start here at the Dhillon Law Group. During COVID, which to me was a fundamentally transformative event, politically, morally, et cetera, I saw one of the issues is that you weren't even allowed to express a dissenting opinion, whether that be on the science itself or the policy response, that you were censored, you were kind of shut out of polite society. There was a line and you had to stick close to it. So what I saw is that all of this overreach, whether it be infringement on the right to travel, shutdowns of schools, et cetera, it was downstream of this free speech violation. So that's why I really thought that free speech is something that we have to fight for. And if we don't, the consequences are going to be grave.
And I'm sure you see a lot of that living out in California and in the Bay Area especially. I do want to ask you a few questions about Chloe Cole's case. So we've worked on this case for almost 2 years now. There's been a few things that have happened over the last few weeks procedurally that are very significant to this case. Can you kind of give us just a summary as to what's happened and then also what's next?
Sure. And just to underscore how long this fight has been and how tough it's been, I want to make one slight correction in that it's been 3 years. And that's how long we've been fighting this. And that's how long things take to come to fruition in California. But where we've been in the case really for almost 2 years, what we've been fighting about is whether we're going to be in court or whether we're going to be in private arbitration where the public doesn't get to see what happens and we lose a lot of the important procedural rights that we have in court. Kaiser tried to make Chloe arbitrate the case based on various agreements that Kaiser claims that Chloe's mother signed while Chloe was a minor. We had a number of arguments as to why those arbitration agreements were unenforceable. We won in front of the trial court. The petition to compel arbitration was denied. Since then, Kaiser moved for reconsideration. That was denied. They appealed. A panel of the Court of Appeal heard an oral argument and published an opinion affirming the trial court's decision. Since then, Kaiser has petitioned for rehearing. That was denied. So now Kaiser has a choice. They either have to live with the ruling and litigate this in court, or they need to seek review from the California Supreme Court. And we should have an answer on that pretty soon.
Wow. California Supreme Court, this is discretionary whether they take the case?
That's right. And it's really not an error correction court. It's a court where they take questions of novel or unsettled law. And here it's really just a matter of contract law. Was there an enforceable contract under California contract law that required Chloe to arbitrate this case? We feel confidently that now the trial court and the Court of Appeal got this right. So I don't see any legal question that requires the California Supreme Court to weigh in on, but Kaiser may file their petition and we'll respond accordingly.
Yeah, it seems like Kaiser has a strategy here that's pretty clear. That's to make this as painful for Chloe and her lawyers as possible, and to drag this out for as long as it'll go. So, if assuming the California Supreme Court denies Kaiser's request, this case then what moves into discovery, and then how long do you expect that process to last?
So we've just started discovery before the arbitration motion came along. We had about 5 or 6 months of discovery battles where we had sent discovery requests. We got stonewalled. We had to bring a motion. Um, Once it goes back to the trial court, we'll pick up right where we started and start going after Kaiser to make sure we get the documents that we need to take depositions of the doctors and psychologists who performed the interventions at issue in this case. And we also have a motion pending to seek punitive damages against Kaiser for what they did. So we expect that the court will hear that in fairly short order, as it's already been briefed.
Interesting. All right. Well, for these updates and for more on Chloe Cole's case, I would just encourage folks to visit our website at libertycenter.org and also on social media. Jesse, it was really good to see you today. Good to talk with you. Thanks for being with us.